What is going on? Ow. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my second video. I hope y'all have already seen the first one. If you didn't, well, it doesn't matter. Nothing important happened over there. Anyway, I can't wait to drop this bad boy in, but before I do that, there are some crucial steps that I need to take to make my future life a lot easier, which is engine refresh. So the whole idea of engine refresh is to prevent future breakdowns and future leakage. This is a almost 25 years engine, and it's been sitting there for a long time. A lot of things might... Okay. Being a 25 years engine, a lot of things might have needed to be changed, like the front main seal, the rear main seal, the vacuum hoses, oil line, water line. I highly recommend it for every single engine swap because a lot of things are way easier to do while the engine is outside than the engine is in the car already. Trust me on that, thank me later. So, let's get to it. Alright, so let's start with removing the upper timing belt cover. I've already removed the 3 Allen bolts, but the one in the middle is pretty deep. So what I did was I took an L-shaped Allen wrench, put the long end in, and then I put a socket on the short end to extend the leverage. And now we are removing the serpentine belt tensioner. There are 3 10mm bolts that I've already loosened. Here's a good habit for you guys. If you are like me, you just like to put everything everywhere, just put all the bolts right back in after you remove the part, so you'll never lose anything. Now we're removing the power steering pump pulley and the alternator pulley. So after we put the new pulleys on, we're going to move on to the harmonic balancer. I've already loosened the crank bolts. They usually extremely tight. I personally use an M18 Milwaukee 1/2-inch impact gun this time. There are other ways. You can either Google it or just leave a comment below and I will reply to your comment. I got lucky with the harmonic balancer this time. It only took me a couple wiggles. It came right off. Now we are taking off the lower timing belt cover. A couple of, I think, 10mm bolts or something. And now we're taking off the timing belt tensioner. I believe there are 2 12mm or 14mm nuts. And then you need a 10mm hex socket for this timing belt pulley. So now grab a gun, remove all the 12mm bolts, and then remove the old water pump assembly. It was in fairly good condition, but just to be safe, I replaced it anyway. And now you can see there's an O-ring in between the water pump and the block. Grab a pick, take the old O-ring out, and put the new O-ring on. Oh, don't forget to clean up the surface. You do not want that to leak because it will be really difficult to replace it once the engine's in the car. And now, torque everything down to 15 foot-pounds. Here comes the tricky part. So I didn't want to use an impact gun to remove the can bolts, so I got an adjustable wrench. I was hoping to hold the breaker bar with one hand and then the jack handle over the adjustable wrench with the other hand. But the angle was really awkward, so I just ended up leaving it on there and let it turn because it's gonna stop by the head anyway. And it worked. It didn't crack the head or anything. So now you can see I was using a piece of mechanic towel. That was because sometimes when you remove this little bolt, the oil is going to leak out. But I got lucky this time, didn't make a mess because there wasn't any oil in there. There it is. So you can see there's a groove and there's a little dowel over there. It can only go in one way, so don't worry about misaligning it. Now we can wiggle the VVTi cam gear off, and then get a gun, remove all the 10mm bolts, and then slide the timing plate off. Remove the bolts on the cam cap, then use a flathead screwdriver just to pry it on the edge of it, and then pop it right off. Now you can check the bearing and remove the old cam seal. It was still in good condition, but we changed it anyway. Don't want to take any chances. And pop the new one on. Try not to break it because it's a really snug fit. Now this is some good stuff. I'm pretty sure you can use it on all the engines. It's the Toyota factory black sealant. It's called FIPG. FIPG? I guess? I don't know. Anyway, now you can see I'm cleaning up the surface and then I applied it onto the head. I actually did it wrong. You're supposed to apply it onto the cap instead of the head. But I did a decent job over there. Now this is how it's supposed to look like. You can pause it and take a good look. But we are putting everything back together and torque the bolts down to 14 foot-pounds.
Easy breezy. Cover girl. You've seen that commercial.
I've really been mumbling a lot when I'm working on things sometimes. But here once again, use a flathead to pry the edge of the cap. There's a spot specifically designed for you to do this on both intake and exhaust side of the cap, so don't worry about breaking it. We already loosened all the bolts, removed the solenoid and the banjo bolt that holds the oil line to the VVTi. Now just use a flathead, pop the old seal back out, check the bearing, and then pop the new seal on. After this, we're gonna apply the FIPG. Now you see I'm actually doing it right by applying it onto the cap instead of the head. After that, put everything back together. Hand tighten all the bolts first. It's always a good habit. And then torque all the bolts down to 14 foot-pounds again. Now we're putting the timing plate back on. I didn't torque any of the bolts down. I just grab a 1/4-inch ratchet and hand tighten them until I think it's tight enough. Then we are putting the cam gears back on. For the VVTi gear, the gear itself has about 15 degrees of movement, so make sure you turn it all the way clockwise before you time it. It was getting dark and it was getting cold, so I just closed the garage door. But at that point, I've already torqued down the cam bolts on both sides to 59 foot-pounds. I couldn't find the torque spec for the little cap or the nut on the VVTi cam gear, so please leave a comment below if you know it. Then I changed the front main seal after the GoPro. I was just pointing at it after the GoPro died, and also valve cover gasket and the grommets for the valve cover bolts. I think the GoPro is about to die. Well, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Subscribe, comment, whatever, like, you know.